Well, this is Thursday afternoon, a little bit early once again. We're having a variation of meetings, Pat, for business reasons, of course.
Yes, of course it is. We wouldn't keep ourselves flexible.
We don't want to destabilize this podcast, but on
Yeah.
occasion we have to call for a variation. So we're going to try and get this out this evening, and anybody who's looking forward to tomorrow's, you really just have to use this one, both of you. Okay, the story that you want to start with, Pat, is one that you believe it's Britain finding out what Brexit is really about.
Yeah, Jude, I wrote it down. In fact, in my column in the Daily Mirror, let me get that in.
Yeah.
Apparently there's 100,000 drivers. Britain is short 100,000 transport drivers, not motor vehicles. And it's affecting everything big time, but particularly those manufacturers who have tight deadlines for products and farming. That's it. But I wrote this down because I saw it today. There's 90. It said 100,000 lorry drivers down. McDonald's have run out apparently of milkshake.
Yeah.
Nando's have run out of chicken. There's 7,000 vacancies for poultry processing, and food is rotting in the fields. And Jude, they can't get any. But what brought it to mind, the catalyst for this wee conversation, was I had a friend who sent me this thing. Apparently, there's some family he's aware of or whatever goes every year to the Lake District. Now, they didn't go last year because of COVID, but they intended going this year. But they didn't cancel. The hotel cancelled them. Apparently, they don't have the staff. All Eastern Europeans who used to staff the hotel in the Lake District haven't shown up, and they're basically saying, people, we can't cater for you. So, Jude, all the conversation has been directed towards the protocol and how it's affecting things. But what a lot of people seem to be missing is this fact that Brexit is actually hitting the mainland big time, and the effects are going to go a lot stronger as time moves on. Now, what happened to Boris Johnson's claim that Britain would boom post-Brexit?
Yeah. Well, I forgot what he had. The sunny uplands, was that it?
The sunny uplands.
Right. But you see, I think that's a very interesting point, Pat. You're right. We're concentrating on the protocol. But actually, I would say the protocol is small beans or small, whatever you call it, for Boris. Like, he's not worried about that. He's got a lot more on his plate. I was reading the Daily Mail on this, and they say, they claim it's the EU rules that insist on higher training has made the shortage of lorry drivers really worse than it would be otherwise. Besides that, they say that the thousands of British heavy goods drivers are retiring as the population ages. I mean, that's rubbish.
Absolute rubbish.
Every possible profession, everybody in it is aging. You know,
at the one time
you suddenly turn around, there's no doctors or there's no.
And Jude, come off it too. The EU haven't changed the rules in regard to EU drivers, not at all, not one iota. Jude, and the second thing, the more obvious thing as well, the British signed up Brexit. Every I, every T, dotted and crossed, and if they're now finding this out, they can't turn around and say the EU has changed the guidelines. They haven't, not at the least. The reality is kicking in. They signed an agreement, and by and large, they said there was something like, I think it was, I read tens of thousands of EU drivers, Polish and Eastern European guys who are living in Britain because of Brexit have left. And there's some either because of COVID or because of the rules in regard to guidelines. Now, Jude, I had a personal experience, just short, there's a guy here came DHL or something, a delivery service. He was German. And I think I've told you before he arrived here, and we were just chatting, and I offered him a Coke because it was a really warm day. And I says, what are you doing? He says, I used to live in Britain, but he says, after Brexit, I moved out. He says, the money has gone. Now, I don't know what he was talking about, but for whatever career he was in Britain, didn't work out for him. And he's living in Ireland. He's been in Cavan now for something like 2-3 years.
Well, I'm wondering, Pat, why is it, you're talking about food rotting in the fields and so on, and there's obviously a shortage of truck
There's
drivers.
No pickers for potatoes and strawberries and stuff like that, too. Yeah.
And they can't get in stuff, and they're saying there's a problem for Christmas.
And the Brits themselves are not going to lift it.
But why have all these drivers that were, if there were all the drivers British before? Surely there was a lot of them were EU people.
No, that's what I'm after saying. Tens of thousands were EU.
Why did they leave, Pat? Why did they leave?
Well, they said, number one, apparently now the rules between Britain and the EU, there's a lot of hold up, red tape, bureaucracy. That's the first thing. Secondly, the other thing too, Jude, there's 2 or 3 things. COVID obviously affected some people. There was they left Britain for a whole host of reasons. Yeah. And thirdly, Jude, I think I've mentioned this before. One of the big things that a lot of Irish transport companies used the land bridge at Dover and so on like that. They got around that, and because of the bureaucracy of them now, leave the EU, go to the UK, go back into the EU. They've now bypassed that, and Rosslare and Cove and Dublin, there are now new ferries, transport ferries on the go. And
yeah, that's the Free State. That's the Free State solving their problem, and I think that's
but all the northern lorries are now going down.
I know, I'm sure there is. Yeah. But I'm saying, I'm wondering why it is that Britain is hit so hard in terms of lorry drivers or other things. And I mean, would it still not pay these poor migrant workers who used to come and do harvesting and stuff of different products down in the south of England? Why have they stopped doing that? Because they were being paid a pittance, they were happy to do it.
I don't know, but apparently the food's rotten. And the Brits themselves will not go out and pick. It's hard going picking potatoes and picking strawberries and whatever else the things. So it's a lot of it's hard labor, bent over. Now, okay, a lot of it's mechanized as well, but still you have to go along with baskets and all the rest. Yeah, they're not doing it. But Jude, if there's 7,000, poultry, I presume in a poultry factory is not a nice work. 7,000. Say that again. 7,000 vacancies. Jude, the reality is kicking in. Jude, see, even in the Republic of Ireland, the unoccupied part of this country, Jude, if you go into any hotel, the chances of being served by a native Irish white person is nil. They're either European or of African descent. There's not too many Asians working in hotels as far as I remember, but by and large, what do you call it, Eastern European and African people, you'll rarely ever find somebody called Mary or Seamus serving you.
Why is that? Is that because those people are paid poorly, or is it that Irish people are too dumb to take the jobs, or what?
There's 2 things, Jude. Number one, they're probably, if you're from Eastern European, where you earn maybe 200 euros a month, you come to Ireland and you earn 200 euros a week minimum right away, even with the minimum wage, and then if you get tips on top of that. Secondly, Irish people have gone, we're now an educated race, student, and that sounds really arrogant, but most of our kids go to secondary school and then most of them go to university. And a lot of them now, we're like the Americans in the 1950s or 60s. We get on the polls and the Irish to do the dirty work. You'll never find sort of an Irish person out digging a drain anymore. You'll find somebody else doing that.
It's funny, the different reactions we have. I've experienced that myself. And I know certainly Americans take it badly. They expect somebody, be saying top of the morning to you and stuff when they're being served. But I feel a little, every time I go to not too often that I go to a hotel, but anytime I do, it's, as you say, invariably somebody from the Eastern Europe, judging by their accent. And, I feel a little, I feel sort of sad that that's the case. And I shouldn't, because when I see the Irish Olympic team, and I see guys who are black and Irish, I see guys who are brown and Irish, I see guys who are, all colours. I think it's fantastic. I love it. I just love it. So I'm just wondering, is there something wrong with me? Or why am I disappointed in one case and delighted in the other that immigrants are coming here?
Or to your end of the island, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of people that would hold very similar views to you. I remember talking to the late Sean McNiff, the McNiff brothers. They owned a whole lot of hotels around the country, the Great Northern Hotel in Bundoran and the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran, and I can't remember, there's one in Dublin. And I think,
I have a niece married into the family.
Oh, I better be careful. But I remember saying, and I'm talking 20 years ago. So that's how long ago this is. He said it was nearly impossible now to get an Irish person to work as a chambermaid or kitchen porter, or even a barman.
That's weird. Well, those people must have jobs, better jobs then.
Yeah.
What are the jobs? Are you saying that they're all moving into the sort of white collar world?
Yeah, well, Jude, a lot of Irish people now emigrate through choice, not through need. And if you go into some of the, Jude, watch your news on a number of Irish people who are experts are come on now on Sky News. The managing director of some centre for COVID is and Dr. Anya O'Donnell. And the next thing somebody comes on with an Irish accent, you go, how many Irish people are in now seriously upgrade senior positions in Britain?
Well, you see, I think in terms of the health service, there always was a tradition of nurses, of young women going to be nurses in England.
But Jude, no, hold on, Jude. And sorry for cutting across you, but the other night there was a big thing about construction, and the two guys on were both Irish. One was a managing director of a big firm, the other was a consultant engineer. And the one followed the other very quickly. Was it BBC? I think I saw it. I'm not 100% certain where I saw it. But anyway, you see, the Irish now are not going to dig drains. They're the guys with the collar and the hard hats. Who
and somebody else to dig them. Well, listen, I wonder, I think in the end, Pat, what you started talking about was crops rotting in the field, lack of drivers for trucks and all sorts of stuff. Now, I'd say that this is either a terrible and maybe even terminal attack on the UK's economy. Or else it's the growing pains, as it might be, at least in part, the growing pains of being detached from the EU, which after a period of adaptation, the UK will be okay.
Yeah, you could be right.
Because it's a big step, Pat. It's a big step to leave.
Yeah. But it looks like there's going to be it's going to be a hard adjustment. Maybe they'll have to teach British folks, or maybe they'll have to learn themselves that, hey, if we want our own cow's milk, if we want fruit picked, if we want to grow our own vegetables and spuds, etc., that we'll have to do it ourselves. To expect migrants to come in and do it on the cheap, those days are gone.
There's an awful lot riding on this. I mean, we've spoken of this before, but there's a lot riding on the economic success of Brexit. Because if Brexit isn't a success, then it's going to put terrible strain on the UK. Scotland.
Hold on. Remember, if we wind back the clock, remember when Dominic Cummings was on it there about a month ago, he did a big interview with your woman on the BBC, Kunsberg. He said, those who claim Brexit will be a massive success are lying, and the same way as those who say it won't be are lying. He says, we don't know. It's starting to emerge, or a pattern starting to emerge, unless it changes down the track, that it's not going to be a success.
Well, I was talking to a woman that I know well, and I was asking her, when I was over in Scotland, and she's English, but she's got links with Scotland. Her grandmother or something is from there, and she's very fond of Scotland. So I said, how would you feel about Scotland going independent, or if there was a referendum? She said, if I had a vote, which I don't have because I'm English, if I had a vote, I would definitely vote for an independent Scotland. I said, why? I didn't know you're a big fan of Scotland. I didn't think you wanted to be separate from the rest of the UK. And she says, well, I want my daughters to be able to go and work or visit or do whatever they want in all the countries of the EU and Europe. I don't want to be stuck here and to find whatever lives they have. We're going to have to
on one island.
So a very interesting change coming over people who, in the past, I wouldn't have thought this person would have been that way. But clearly there's
Jude, one of the great posts I saw on Facebook about a month ago was a guy stopped in Schiphol Airport, and they were on the non-EU queue, and there's a big long queue, and everybody from the EU was going past him. He says, "This is not the Brexit we voted for." And I was thinking, that's exactly the Brexit you voted for.
Yeah. Well, it's very hard. God had forgiven me, and you shouldn't rejoice in others' misfortune. But and it might be our misfortune because I'm living in
arrogance and hubris usually get karma.
Now you're talking Schadenfreude and all that.
Anything else you want to think of? Any other word you can think of?
Whatever you're having yourself. Okay. Well, we'll leave the Daily Mail to solve that one. They say it's good. The heavy
because everybody's getting older.
Are aging. If they read a few reports in the Daily Mail, it'll age them by about 10 years. Okay, let's move from that sad tale to, in my opinion, a heroic tale. And that is the tale of James McClean. Now, this has been going on for 10, I don't know, how long now, 15 years maybe?
No, 10 years roughly. He's been 10 years in England as far as I remember.
I mean, McClean has done something, actually I didn't think he'd be able to do it. So I admire him for not only for his courage, but also for the fact that he's managed to pull it off. He said, you know, and I don't know when all the football teams started wearing around November a poppy emblazoned on their shirt, but whenever it happened, McClean just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And you know, I assumed that the manager would say, "Oh, you're going to call the shots, are you? There's the door." But that's not what happened. In all the clubs he's gone to, the manager and the club have accepted it. That's just astonishing to me.
Yeah, Jude, McClean, whatever you can think of him anything you like, but I admire him tremendously. He says, and he's made a couple of statements on this whole thing. He says, "I am not anti-British. I am not anti-British soldier. I am not, but I am not going to wear a poppy. I come from a town where British soldiers shot dead 13 people and injured, whatever it was, 14 more on Bloody Sunday. For me to wear that is to sort of say, that's all right, that I agree with it and I can live with it and all the rest." He says, "I am not going to do that. But I mean no disrespect to those who died in the 2 world wars." Now, Jude, that strikes me, to any logical person, that strikes me as a very fair, reasoned and moderate position. And he's got the courage, the moral courage to do what he has done. And Jude, he's been threatened. He's actually got death threats, which are considered credible death threats. He's had a massive abuse online, scumbag, and I won't even repeat the rest of it. And he's had letters delivered to his home, the threatening letters. He's had been spat at in the street, and when he's playing football. But he says he's had very little protection from the authorities in England, both the football authorities and the social, official authorities. And he says he has the most abused player in the history of English football. But if he was black, or say he was, use a controversial one, say he was Jewish playing in the German league, and imagine starts anti-Semitic stuff at a Jewish player, there would be an outcry. But it's because he's from Derry, part of Britain, and he's playing in the English league. I get on with it, and so on. You should, just learn to ignore it. And he says that's way beyond what anybody else, any black player even gets.
Well, why is it that, he's not the first player from the North. He's not the first nationalist player from the North. He's not the first Derry player from the North to be playing in the Premier League or in the Championship League. Why have the others not done the same thing?
Because they wore the poppy.
Why is it James McClean is standing out as a sole person who's doing this? Shouldn't the others feel the same way? No.
Well, Roy Keane's from Cork. Maybe doesn't feel as strongly about it as James McClean. Now, there's not been too many. I don't know what about your man Duffy, Shane Duffy. I presume he must wear one.
There was a guy who played midfield for Man United for a while. I forgot his name.
Gibson.
Well, there's plenty. Anyway, the point is, there's plenty of Irish players over there.
Maybe McClean's political beliefs are a bit stronger than the other. See, a lot of footballers, Jude, and this is a generalization and a stereotyping, are not that big into politics. By and large, a lot of footballers, the only thing they are interested in is playing football, and they don't go into the whole. But McClean, I think he comes from a slightly political background, and that his people would hold Republican views, and so on. And I think that might be the reason for his difference. But Jude, you don't have to agree with him. The man has made a moral decision, and he's been very reasonable about why he does it. And I think you should respect other people's rights. Jude, I don't think the Irish Army went over and shot dead 13 people in Wigan and 17 others. That if James McClean put on someone to sort of eulogize the British Army, they would take it too kindly. So why do they expect the reverse from him?
Yeah. I actually, though, well, anyway, there's two things about it. One is I'm amazed that he's getting support, because the Wigan club that he's playing for now has supported him completely, and it's warning people that to give him any abuse.
They've sent a letter to all Division 1 clubs that if there's anything, Huddersfield were fined, I think, was it 20,000 last year because of some of the abuse. But the health and safety officer of Wigan has written to every club saying that any chanting or any of this sort of abuse on the terraces, they will report it to the authorities, and they expect action to be taken.
But the trouble is, you see that the club is the one that suffers. The guys who are doing the chanting are not, by and large, getting.
But a lot of grounds these days have cameras, etc., and anybody probably fined doing it could be actually.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah, I've got a couple of little points I want to make just about that finally, Pat. One is that the British, on the RTE website, there's a statement from the British Legion about this. Yeah. And they say, I was quite surprised by this. They say the poppy is a universal symbol that represents sacrifices made in the defense of freedom. And so the decision to wear it must be a matter of personal choice. Yeah. To insist that people wear a poppy would be contrary to everything it stands for. We offer our full support to James for exercising his right to choose not to wear a poppy. There's a surprise.
That is a very generous statement, one I would support totally.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised too. The second thing is this, Pat. Let's suppose, okay? First of all, have you ever worn a poppy?
No.
No, neither have I. Let's suppose Bloody Sunday never happened.
Yeah.
Would you wear a poppy?
Nope.
No, neither would I. So I think.
Let me tell you something. I have a great uncle who died fighting for Britain. And he's buried in France. And my son, he lay undisturbed for the best part of a century until my son went out about 2016 or something. No, maybe it's not just before that. But nobody had ever buried his grave. He was 36 when he died. He was a stretcher bearer, and he went out to bring in somebody, and he was shot dead. And Jude, I am not, and we're repeating it. I am not anti-English. I am not. I'm not on the least bit racist. But Jude, I don't think it's appropriate for people like me who are running around with a poppy. I am Irish. I am not British. This is a British symbol as far as I'm concerned, and it's a celebration or a commemoration of their historic past. It's for them. And I do look, Jude. Anybody wants to wear a poppy, be my guest. I am not object, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to be wearing one.
Well, the thing that I would object to, well, apart from a sort of a native memory, I can remember a woman coming to our door selling poppies when I was no size. I remember my mother saying, no, we don't. No, thanks. And closing the door. And I never seen her turn somebody away as abruptly. And so that kind of thing lodges in your system, I think. Yeah. But even apart from that, the fact of the matter is, it sort of clashes with what the British Legion says. But if you look at the poppy and why if there's a website for it, they'll explain what they're celebrating. They're actually, it's in honor of the British forces, the British Armed Forces, and their things they've done over time, over decades, over even centuries.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
And Jude, that's a sort of a poppy fascism that that's on the go these days. That either you're one of us or you can't do anything. That's Jude. I can't remember who it was. There's somebody quite famous wore a white poppy to say that they supported, but they were not supporting this war, that you have to wear what to support the army. So I can't remember. There's somebody, and they got dogs abuse for it, but I can't remember now who it was.
Well, the fact that it is red is sort of blood soaked, and
that was the person where the white one was making.
They talk about the glorification of violence. In my mind, the ceremonies on Poppy Remembrance Day are really not about. Well, I suppose they are partly about remembrance, but they're also part of honouring people who engaged in violence. And that's a decision every country or every group of people must make themselves.
I really object to being celebration of the victory, the celebration of the victories of 2 world wars.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't see too many, well, I haven't seen too many Germans at the, and I wonder what would happen. Do 2 Germans, I wonder, have a similar sort of ceremony? I doubt it. I doubt it.
There must be some commemoration to remember the fallen somewhere, Jude, but it's not a celebration.
Yeah. It's it does seem to be an unnecessarily divisive thing. I don't see why they do it in such a way that players' shirts have it on it. Let the player wear it.
Jude, I understand why the British commemorate their dead, and I would support them. But is this sort of to use the term I used there? It's this sort of almost poppy fascism that you have. You're not entitled to make up your own mind. You have to follow what we say.
If we're alive, Pat, I'm going to leave this topic now. If we're alive and well and able to see this coming November, we almost certainly will see at the beginning of a Premier League game, there will be a last post bugle.
Yeah.
There'll be a officer of some kind will stride out with the wreaths of poppies, solemnly lay it. Everybody will stand with their heads bowed, and that's before the game. That to me, that's hijacking sport for your own ends. But then I'm biased. I'm biased against it. I have to admit it. Okay, let's leave the bloody poppy, and I mean the bloody poppy. You're a bit worried about China and Brazil and people like that, I gather, Pat.
Well, they said just CNN had a report this morning on BBC, and it's from I think they were parroting a report that was on CNN last night. Yeah. Apparently, the Meteorological Service of America is saying that the 2020 was the warmest year in human history, or well, certainly since records began, and and whichever comes first. Yeah. And the temperature rose 1.9 degrees centigrade. Wow. They said 2 degrees would have been a couple of years back would be sensational. Well, we almost made it. So and apparently if it goes 2 more degrees, we are in serious doo-doo, that the proverbial will hit the fan. I am not a meteorologist. I'm not anything. I don't know enough about it. But maybe we should have talked about COVID too. But here's the point. The way there's all these, there's always these sort of dissident scientists who are saying that climate change is a conspiracy theory and all the rest of it. There's always one. And then there's the 99 who say, hey, no, it isn't. Well, I think the evidence at this stage is that COVID or climate change is as real, as overwhelming. Apparently, by the way, I think it was done over a 20-year period. They studied this, and we're up almost 2 degrees. So, Jude, I think that's pretty conclusive evidence that things are changing.
Oh yeah, I mean, even at our local level, you know yourself that the summers and bouts of really hot weather are different from what they were in previous years, previous decades. And then when you look at the news and see the number of fires and the number of floods, it's just crazy. But I think you raised a point with regard to this. Did you suggest that there's nothing we can do because there's these big...
No, Jude, I was actually going to throw this one at you. Because, right, if you listen or watch anything about the development of places like China, apparently there's something like a power station going up every, whatever it is, one a week or something like that. It's huge. The same Brazil, the Bolsonaro, the president there, has basically said, bugger off, we're going to burn off the forest. It's all right for you Western Europeans to talk about this sort of stuff, but we have farmers here and we can make rich, if we run farms here, we can get, beef cattle and make billions, if not, or millions, if not billions. And then you look at Russia and you go to India, where there's massive development all of a sudden. And if you combine China, Russia, and India, the populations, the land masses, and all the rest of it, Jude, what are they? Probably between those three countries, they probably make up 2/3 of the world's population on their own, right? Here's Ireland. What is it? On the entire island of Ireland, between north and south, what, 6 million? What under Jesus are we going to do? That's going to make a significant difference. And the Green Party and Dublin are introducing carbon neutral this and putting carbon taxes on fuel, and they're wanting cars to go electric and all that. And you're going, yeah, I agree with all that, but hey, is it not sort of like spitting in the wind?
Well, I would agree with you that any effort that individuals make, and even small countries like Ireland make, won't really amount to much. But I think a question you have to ask in terms of whether an action is a good action or a bad action is, if everybody did what I am now doing, would that be good news? Would that be something acceptable to you? It's like saying speeding, for example. Yeah. I'm in the car and I just break the speed limit, it won't matter. But if everybody did that, then clearly that would be really bad news.
Hold on, Dr. Concher, you're getting off topic here, and you're going. Your usual smart way you're doing it. Right? Hold on. Little Ireland. Here's a question. Little Ireland does whatever it is, carbon, whatever it is. Yeah. We introduce hybrid, and we cut down. We stop using fossil fuels on our electricity generating and so on. Yeah. And the Chinese open one every day, and the Indians open one every day, and the Russians. Yeah. And all Irish people are saying, wait a minute, it's we're paying more. We're getting rid of our herd of cattle too because of methane gas. And what's the point?
Oh, well, that's the kind of argument I think that the British used to, well, they probably still do, when they sell weapons, like a huge arms trade with other countries, many of them dubious use of these weapons. They say, essentially, if we didn't give it to them or sell them, somebody else will. Yeah. And they're probably right, but that doesn't make their selling of that thing right. It's just like saying, I'll drive the getaway car. If I don't, somebody else drive it, so I might as well. Yeah. Or I'll go into the bank. No, I think
I agree with you totally. It's a morally bankrupt argument to make.
I think
the reason I asked it, I heard it on radio this morning, and I heard a guy making the exact same point. Look, what's the point of Ireland spitting in the wind type thing of all these countries? And I thought, Jesus, what an argument! Like if nobody does anything, doesn't matter. See tomorrow morning, let's drive at 100 miles an hour. Sure, what does it matter?
Yes, right. I think the problem actually, and it's quite you'd be surprised how many circumstances that this thing obtains. The people like Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, the people who are really Extinction Rebellion or whatever.
Yeah.
They never, well, number one, they never tell me, I've never been told or I've never seen what I can do to add my voice so that I can help them put pressure on governments. They're big organizations. Now, do you know what you should do so you can, apart from them saying, give us some money, is there anything I can do? Is anybody I can write to? There must be any number of things where the ordinary citizen could use their small wit to lean against the door and push along with them. I would fault them for that. I would also fault, incidentally, and this is in a different context, the people who are planning for a border poll. The people who are planning for a border poll talk about, there's all sorts of organizations, and there's people who are sketching out what the economy might look like and so on. Well, I don't know who these people are. Who are they? Why don't you tell me about them so I know something about them and I might be able to add my voice to it? I just think there isn't nearly enough communication with ordinary Joes that haven't a clue, but who would be friends of a border poll or friends of saving the earth from extinction.
Yeah. Jude, you were saying you're putting your little weight. I would have a considerably more weight to put against that board than you're talking about. But anyway, remember somebody described the Green Party and the Republic as Fine Gael on bicycles because they're a total capitalist, society. They put charges in this and charges in that and all the rest of it, and they're nice middle class folks, and so on. But Jude, I have to agree with you. The big thing is education and I don't know what's the term, Jude, where you convince people of the merit of your argument.
No, I don't. That's not my problem. I go completely along with their argument. Like we've got to save the world.
But how do you scale the argument, Jude? And how do you communicate? And where's the communication with everyday people and saying, look, this is what we need to do.
Exactly. That's it, Pat. You put your finger on it. You put your finger on it. This is what we need to do, or this is what you need to do. That's what I want to hear, whether it's about a border poll, whether it's about Friends of the Earth or whatever. And again, they're saying, oh, support us. What the hell does that mean? Yeah. I want to give me something I can do.
It's back to so many things in this word. It's coming from the top down, and it should be from the bottom up.
Yeah, and it's from the top down, of course. There's such a thing as leadership. I go along with that. And I would say people like Greenpeace are setting the pace, and that's good. But I mean, I'd like them to tell me what they're doing and how I can do something. Because I think most people who are sane wouldn't want the way things are going at present to continue with the kind of global heating that we're talking about, that this is a global crisis. And as I say, I would extend it to other things, and I would be almost equally critical of the way the border poll activists are acting at the moment.
Yeah, right. Hold on. About 20, 30 years ago, you could have sat out on a nice day and you wouldn't got sunburned. You could sat out for a couple of hours, or an hour anyway. Yeah. I defy right now. See this? I think it was 26, 27 degrees there. White-skinned Irish people where we have more rain than sun. See, these days, if you sat out for an hour and a half in the sun, you would be badly burned.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well,
that is definitely different.
Yeah. I know, because I've just come from doing my lawn. And there's another thing, Pat. There's another thing. I've just come from doing my lawn. If you look, my face is even redder than usual.
Yeah.
But I have left portions of my lawn. I've wilded it, as they say,
Yeah.
because they say this is good for these insects and so on. But I'm not nearly clear enough on what should I be cutting any of it? Should I be leaving it as it is? What difference will that make? Tell me why the hell am I sort of kind of working this out for myself? I don't know about these things.
Neither do I.
Should tell me.
Aye. But by the way, just before we go, because
yeah.
By the way, Doctor, no, hold on, Dr. Collins. There's one thing we haven't touched on.
Right.
How come Northern Ireland has 10 times the death rate from COVID in recent times than the Republic?
I think that's just a blip. That's a blip. Is it deaths from COVID?
Yeah, deaths. Yeah, 10 times the Republic.
Well, I'll tell you something, Pat. I'll be honest. Part of me says, yeah, look at Irish people do the job themselves, and they do a better job than people who are ruled in part by Britain. However, I find it distasteful to have a kind of a league table, or to say, we're better than you. A lot of yous died and not nearly as many of us died. There is that tendency, I think, to say, yeah, boo sucks. Look at our table, look at yours. It's just, in either case, I would want everybody to be not sick. I don't want anybody to die from the bloody thing. It's unfortunate. I suppose the question would be, Pat, why are 10 times as many people dying in the north as in the south? I think that's a good question.
I've got a theory, Jude. In the north, as far as I remember, a lot of stuff opened around about early May or maybe mid-May. The south didn't open until the end of July. 2 months, May, June, July, 2 months. And I presume that's a lot of what happened there. Secondly, Jude, the things in the south have only opened up there quite recently, like the All Ireland final. What was it, 45,000 or something? 24,000 at the semi-finals. Jude, let's see what happens, the outcome of them. Plus the fact, Jude, I presume somewhere along the line too, Northern Ireland started off so well vaccination-wise. And I wonder, is the vaccinations, maybe the effectiveness, the efficacy of them starting to wane a wee bit, or there is two other things. Apparently, a lot of young people in the north have not got vaccinated, but in the south, a lot of them have, which is, I am not 100% certain of that. And the other thing, Jude, I forgot about this. In the south, when you get your double vaccine, you get this, cert thing to prove you've done it. Is that true in the north? Do you get them in the north?
Well, my wife has got some kind of documentation that says she's got the double jab, but I asked her
you got it?
I haven't got it, and I asked her how
I see everybody in the south gets it, and Jude, there's certain hotels yet.
I asked my wife how she got it. She wouldn't tell me.
Oh God! So in other words, when she goes out at night and wants to get into the hotel, you won't get in.
Exactly. She knows she's got the cards in her hand now. Okay, Pat, we'll stop at that.
All the best, Jude.
On that cheerful note. Okay.
Good luck.
All the best.